Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu declared that an historic change of great importance to Israel took place during the last week's Warsaw summit, in which Arab states with whom Israel does not have diplomatic relations united with Jerusalem's position against its main adversary, the Islamic Republic of Iran. During Jerusalem's weekly cabinet meeting, Netanyahu underscored that under the leadership of the United States, the international community is uniting to prevent Iran's malign activities, while further vowing to continue to act constantly to ensure Israel's security amid Tehran's aspirations to acquire nuclear weapons and to continue its military entrenchment in Syria.
אמרתי להם שהתוקפנות האיראנית היא הגורם המרכזי שמערער את המזרח התיכון ואת העולם כולו. אמרתי להם שעלינו למנוע מאיראן נשק גרעיני ולבלום את ההתבססות הצבאית שלה בסוריה. ואנחנו נמשיך לפעול כל העת כדי להבטיח את ביטחון ישראל.
To assure Israel's military freedom of military action in its northern neighbors, to actively preserve Jerusalem's declared red lines, the Prime Minister announced that he will travel to Moscow on Thursday for a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
ביום חמישי אפגש במוסקבה עם נשיא רוסיה ולדימיר פוטין. אני אדון עמו בהמשך חיזוק מנגנון התיאום כדי למנוע חיכוך בין צה"ל לצבא רוסיה. השיחות האלה הן חשובות מאוד והן חלק מהמאמץ המתמשך שלנו להבטיח את חופש הפעולה של מדינת ישראל נגד איראן וגורותיה שמכריזים ביודעים על כוונתם להשתמש בסוריה כחזית במלחמה שלהם להשמדת ישראל.
While Netanyahu re-emphasized Jerusalem's resolve to thwart the Islamic Republic's military entrenchment along Israel's northern frontier, the Foreign Minister of Iran, Mohammad Javad Zarif, warned that the continued actions undertaken by Israel against Iranian forces in Syria have created a great risk of war between the two countries. In a Q&A session at Germany's annual Munich Security Conference, the Iranian top diplomat asserted that the Islamic Republic, which entered Syria on the invitation of the Damascus regime, has the legitimacy under international law to operate in the war-torn country.
We are in Syria on the invitation of the Syrian government for the sole purpose of fighting terrorism. No other reason for our being there. I think last I checked international law, violating Lebanon's airspace and shooting into Syria is a violation of international law. And the international community, and of all people Europe, which believes international law is the foundations of international order, is blaming us and not blaming the Israelis for violating international law. So let's wake up.
So the risk is great.
Risk is great, but risk will be even greater if you continue to turn a blind eye to severe violations of international law.
Before the Q&A session, Minister Zarif addressed a conference on the views Iran holds vis-à-vis the latest security developments across the Middle East in particular and the global arena at large. His address focused primarily on the Islamic Republic's defiance of the United States and took the opportunity to condemn the latest efforts undertaken by the E3, which include France, Britain, and Germany, on their efforts to preserve the 2015 nuclear agreement.
For instance, Instex falls short of the commitments by the E3 to save the nuclear deal. Europe needs to be willing to get wet if it wants to swim against the dangerous tide of US unilateralism.
The Iranian regime's frustration with Europe's inability to provide the Islamic Republic with substantive economic relief amid crippling international sanctions that were imposed by the United States was brushed off by the European Union's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, who stressed in a separate Q&A session that if it was not for the European Union and its member states, the nuclear deal with Iran would have been dead long ago.
And I believe if it was not for the European Union and its member states, starting from France, Germany and the UK, if it was not for the European Union member states and the E3, I am sure the nuclear deal with Iran would have been that long ago, probably May last year. If it is still in place, I believe it's for the determination of the European Union and the member states and the E3 to keep an agreement that we believe it is fundamental and crucial for our security and it's a fundamental pillar of the non-proliferation, nuclear non-proliferation architecture globally. It's because of our attachment to the UN system, and the JCPOA, at the end of the day, is an attachment to a UN Security Council resolution.
The EU foreign policy chief did not mention, however, the fact that while UN Security Council Resolution 2231 calls for the implementation of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which is the technical term of the Iran nuclear deal, in paragraph 3 of Annex B, the resolution calls upon Iran not to undertake any activity related to ballistic missiles designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons, including launches using such ballistic missile technology, a call that has been repeatedly rejected and violated by the Islamic Republic. Meanwhile, the European Union's measures to preserve the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action continue to strain its relations with the United States. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence, who also attended the Munich conference, urged Europe to change its policy and rally behind Washington's efforts to give the Iranian people, the region, and the world the peace, security, and freedom they deserve.
The time has come for all of us to act. The time has come for our European partners to stop undermining U.S. sanctions against this murderous revolutionary regime. The time has come for our European partners to stand with us and with the Iranian people, our allies and friends in the region. The time has come for our European partners to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal and join us as we bring the economic and diplomatic pressure necessary to give the Iranian people, the region, and the world the peace, security, and freedom they deserve.
Now to Israel's northern neighbor, Lebanon, where the Secretary General of the Lebanese-Iranian proxy Hezbollah, Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, boasted over his organization's capabilities to infiltrate Israel, despite 6 cross-border attack tunnels that were discovered and destroyed by the Israeli Defense Forces.